Hey everyone, today we're going to be installing a reverse camera on a 2007 Toyota 4Runner with a aftermarket head unit. This is what it looks like, so stick around and we'll show you how to do it. Okay, so let's start by removing this rear panel here so that we can get access to, because we need to take this off and drill a hole right here for the camera. So just gently pull down. The thing we've got to do is remove this 10mm bolt here. Okay, and then once all the clips are out, you just push it forward slightly and it will come out. And now yours may or may not have this plastic, but we need to remove this. To get that off, we've got to remove, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think there's one under here, so there's 5 bolts we have to take out. And there's clips in here. Clip that on, but oh, we must have missed a bolt. Okay, so we got all the nuts off of the bolts, but this needs to be squeezed in so it can push out through there, and that's the last piece that we have. So I'm gonna get a pair of needle nose pliers and do that real quick. So there's 2 more bolts, these 2 bolts here. This holds the key. So that needs to be taken out as well. Pull this out some. And notice there's a grommet here with a plug. So we'll need to go unplug that. This plug right here. And then you just slowly work it through that hole. Okay. And now you see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 bolts. This has a cutout here for a camera, so we're going to be drilling a hole right there. So we're going to put some painter's tape over it, and then the drill hole needs to be 5/16 is what the instructions say. For our camera, yours might be slightly different. Camera goes in like this, so it'll look like, essentially look just like that. So I'm going to drill a hole right there. Now the camera comes with, actually we should put this on first, but it comes with a double-sided tape with some foam in there. So we're going to take this back out and run this through there so it secures it, and then put this bolt on it. So this actually has a notch in it, so we don't have to. Okay, so that's on. That's right. Okay, and so now we want to, like I said, line this up. Just like that. And then here's the bolt, or the nut that secures it. Want to make sure to get that nice and snug so it doesn't back off while you're driving or anything like that. So now we're going to take this cord and we're going to run it through, but remember this is going to go through the metal, so there's already a grommet there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this tape off and see if we can run this wire through this as well. That way we don't have to put another hole in the metal. Okay, so we tried to use an existing grommet in the tailgate part, but that's not going to work. So we're going to have to drill a new hole. And so we've marked a spot right here. And so we're going to go ahead and tape this off. And we were going to drill this hole right here and then put a grommet in there and run the wire in through that. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so after you get the hole drilled, you want to get a grommet and get it shoved in there real good. And so here we go. So that's in. So now we can go ahead and mount this and run our camera wire through here. We got our bolts slid back in here, here, and now the first thing we're going to do is run this plug back through here. Get that situated. Okay, we'll finish the work on the other side. It'll take pulling it from the other side. And so now we want to grab our camera cord and run it through the new grommet hole we put in. I'm also going to see, since there's a bit of a gap there, I'm going to run a bead of silicone here to keep any water from getting into the inside of this panel. So just fill that hole with the silicone, and that's it. Make sure everything is lined up. Everything's in. Yeah. Okay. And we'll pull this grommet through. Make sure that's all where it's supposed to be. And run the key back through and fill that in. Okay, so we need to plug this plug back in now. So that's good. Everything's tight. Okay, so now if you look back up in here, you can see our cord that is here. So now what we need to do is we're going to need to, because we're going to need to make sure this is nice and tight up against here, because this back window, when it goes down, we want to make sure it doesn't interfere with anything. So we're going to run this cable up and we're going to lower this piece right here so we can have full access to this part back here. And these are 10mm bolts as well. So you can see this bundle of wires up here at the top, back up in there. We're going to run our cord up along that and zip tie to that so that we know that we will be in good shape. Now you can see that that's zip tied, and so we have our wire hanging out right here. So what we need to do next is, I've removed this, which is just held on by the edges here. You just push that in and it pops right out. Well, we're going to run a wire down here, and it's going to run right up in here, and then we're going to connect this to it and pull this wire up through here so that we can run it down and get it into the car. So we just used a coat hanger, and as you can see here, we've got coat hanger taped to our wire. So we're going to slowly pull this coat hanger up to here. Untape this, and now we've got to run it through here. And so I used had an extra piece of Romex laying around, and so we're gonna try to get it taped to that so we can run it through here. So that's the next step. So we got this pulled through. So now what we need to do is we need to run a wire from here over to here, and we'll pop this. Pop this out, and so inside of here is a space that we're going to run the wire, and it'll drop right down in there, so we can pull the wire through here and then run it down to this panel and then all the way up to the front. Okay, so we're going to use this smaller wire and just run it just like this until, can you see it in there? Until you see it in there. Okay, and then reach in there. So now this is the other end of the wire. So here's our video cable that is going to go all the way up to the front. And then here's the power and ground. Now, just real quick, I wanted to say, a lot of videos I've seen plug this into their reverse light, the power into the reverse backup light. And I'm actually not going to do that. I'm going to run it all the way to the front because on our stereo there's a button that says camera, or rear camera, and when you push it, it turns it on. And I want it to have power so that it doesn't have to be in reverse in order to get the power to run the camera. So we're going to run this all the way up to the front. I've got all this cable or cords all straightened out, and we've got it pulled through here finally. And so we're just gonna undo the tape, hook these up, and then pull the slack out here. And then we're gonna run this down into this panel here. We'll probably have to take this bottom panel off, and I'll show you how to do that so we can run it down onto the floorboard and then get it up to the front. So yeah, I'll show you that once I get this tape off and get this one plugged in. As I was pulling the slack, I kind of got into a snag, and so something is stuck up in here. So I'm gonna have to undo this a little bit and pull the headliner down slightly, and probably move this cord over just a little bit. And so to do that, there's a bolt right, or a Phillips screw right here. And then this. And then there's a 10mm right there. And there's another 10mm right here. And I already pulled this out, but there was one of those in. And how you pull that out is you pull the top, loosen the top, and then this collapses in so you can pull it out. Okay, so and all of these should just pull out easily, although there's one up here that's given me trouble in the past. Okay, I got it. Hopefully you won't have this issue, but I have one clip here that does not want to come out. Okay, so now that I'm able to get kind of my hand up in here, oops. Okay, I'm gonna seal all that back off since I was able to pull some of the slack. And so now what we want to do is we really just want to run this down here into, there's an open spot right here that we want to drop this cable into. Basically, we just want to run this right here so that I can get it right there. Now, we just want to make sure to move it around the back side of this box here. And so now you can see that there's movement in those lines, which is good. That's what you want. You want to be able to make sure they're not snagged on anything. Okay, so now the next part is we need to run this up to here, down through there. And for that, we will need to take off this panel right here. Just this top part, so we can guide the wires down into it and run it down the top. So what we need to do for that is, oh, already took this one out, but in here was another one of those. It was in there. So you pull that out first, and then you already saw me take this piece out. I guess it goes like that. And so then once you have that loose, really all you have to do is kind of pull on it just a little bit. Now I also, there is a 10 millimeter in here, and there's a 10 millimeter in here that I went ahead and unscrewed just to give us a little bit more room to pull this out. But that's all you should have to do. So now we should be able to kind of take this wire, and I'll just do this one first and just kind of feed it up through here, and just find a good place for it to sit. If you have zip ties would be good to zip tie it to these other cords. And then once we get it over to here, now we want to run it down this pillar. So we're going to go over to this door and show you what that would look like. Okay, so now you just want to go underneath this, and then follow that right down there, and as you pull out that. And so do the same thing with the video wire as well, and then we'll run it right through here. We'll pop this up and run it through there and all the way to the front. We're gonna just pull up on this panel. That's how that is set, and just want to run this right under here to where now we're in the car. Okay, so as you noticed, I'm short on these wires, so I'm going to use a couple of butt connectors and hook up 2 new lines so we can finish running this to the front. All right, so continue to pull this up. Again, just slide this under here and just keep pulling that up. Okay, and then we also need to pull this out some, which you just pull this out. You can just well, we may have to, actually probably what we'll do is we'll just tuck the wires up underneath here. Yeah, just like that. And then yeah, make sure that they're just like you would in your house, I guess, under the carpet. And then I like to go ahead and clip them into here so they're secure. And then we'll keep doing this until we get over to here. And again, the last piece here at the bottom is to pull this off. And then that way we can, and how this comes off is it actually, there's 2 metal clips here and you have to pull this towards you, or towards, if you're standing right here, you want to pull it this way, and that's how that slides off. And so now what we're going to do is run this right up through here, same place that we had our. And before we do that, what I'm probably going to do is tape all of this so it's one cord, and I'll show you that again once I'm done. Okay, so I've got some of this taped off now to where it can run back up through the dash. And if you'll notice, I've already taken all of the dash components out, and if you're interested in how that happened, check out the video I have up here. Where we go into detail about how we take all of that out to replace this head unit. This is an aftermarket head unit. We replaced the factory one, and so that's what we're hooking up the reverse camera to. But anyway, like I said, this will need to be loose, and I've already got that loose and did that in a different video. So like I said, I'll put the link up here. Okay, so now you want to run this right up in here. So if you can see the black and yellow striped wires, that's the ones that we are gonna run right next to. From there all the way back up into here and under behind the dash. And so I'm gonna go do that and I'll be back. Okay, so we've got this cable or this wire, taped wire, all the way up to here. So now what we're gonna do is pull that out and hook up the final pieces here. Obviously we have a lot of extra cable here, or cord here, which we can clean up the yellow and the red, but obviously we can't cut the video cord. So we'll bundle that up and just push it back behind there with a twist tie or something. But the important pieces, and I'll show you in just a second, but we've got to hook these 3 wires up, and so we're going to do that right now. So we're going to go ahead and unplug the antenna because that's a tight connection. And so what we want to do is we want to run our cables Okay, so now that we have the cable all back behind, this video cord will go into camera. The trigger off the video cord goes into the reverse in from your wiring harness of your stereo, or sorry, to the aftermarket stereo, and then also the purple and white in this particular wiring harness is the reverse in as well. So we combine those together, and then the red is the power from the reverse camera. That's going to go, so I'm going to cut this line here, and I'm going to put this in with this line. And this yellow, they didn't have black, the color black at the automotive store, so I had to get a yellow wire, but this is actually the ground, and so this I'm going to wire into this ground here. So I can't do all that with one hand, so I'm going to need some assistance. So I'm going to cut the video here, and then you'll see it here in just a second, and I'll show you when I'm done. Video's in. The trigger wire is with the purple and whites. The power is with reds, and the ground, if I get this antenna out of it, the ground is with the grounds. So that's what we want. I'm gonna plug the antenna in, slide this back in, and then we're gonna test it out. So now I've got everything temporarily kind of plugged back in just to test it to see if it works. Hook the battery back up, so we're gonna give it a shot. So after doing a little more debugging, apparently this radio, we don't need this trigger wire. So basically what I did is I plugged this in, unplugged this, and then cut the trigger wire from the reverse in and out wire, and then plugged this back in just to check it. And sure enough, it already, because of this, knows to trigger the camera on, because of the way we wired the camera with the accessory, with the power on up here and the ground up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put butt connectors back on this. I'm going to cap this off and seal that with tape, and we should be good to go. Well, let's start it up and see if that fixed it.
Stuff on the radio real soon. We got Garth Brooks next. 96.1.
Okay, radio's working. Put it in reverse. All right, it's pointing at the sky because the tailgate's down, or up, but that's good. And then we hit the rear camera, and that's working as well. All right. So that took care of it. So let's put everything back together now. All right. Okay, so now to put this panel back on, got to put it the right way first. Okay, that's good. Okay, and now this panel goes back on, same way. Oh, actually, this weather stripping is off, so we need to get it slid back in the groove. Just lightly tap that. Okay, that's good. All right, so this panel, we just pulled the top off, so just need to re-secure it like this. And then there's a couple of, there's the bolts, 2 10mm need to go here. These 5 bolts need to all get put back in. So let's do that. Okay. Don't forget to put this cover back on right here. So now I need to put this plastic piece back on, just to try to keep dirt out of here, and then make sure all these clips stayed in, and then we'll slide that back up and pop these clips in. And this framer slides down from the top and then pops into place. Okay. And then the last piece is screw this in and pop this back in here like that. If this video helped you out, please consider subscribing or giving it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, please put them down below in the comments. Thanks.